That's one thing movies don't get right is suppressors take fucking forever to thread on because the threads are so fine. When you're not firing, it locks to the rear, so it's able to cool. It's backwards, you know, because normally with normal guns, it's like, you know, to show that it's safe, put the bolt back, see there's nothing in there. But with this thing, if I just put a mag in it right now, it's ready to fire.
Oh, wow.
So it's like the opposite. So it's actually safe when it's down. These have quick release barrels, you know, because, you know, combat barrels get hot and you got new ones in there so you can keep firing. So this right here is what connects the receiver. The other phone they're addicted to.
What's your name?
John Hickok.
John Hickok. And you are the co-creator of Hickok45.
Right, yep.
Nice. And you're also a comedian, right?
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, open micer, but yeah.
How long you been doing comedy?
7 years, yeah.
Hell yeah. What's your favorite thing about comedy?
Do you want me to look at you or look at the camera?
It doesn't matter.
All right.
Yeah.
Because it feels very weird to hear questions from you and then look straight at the camera. So what'd you ask?
What's your favorite thing about comedy?
I mean, I think one of my favorite things about it is the same thing I love about making YouTube videos. It's like you create something on your own and then you can just immediately see what people thought about it. You know, that like the short distance between creating something and then seeing if people liked it is really fun. I don't know. That's addictive, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, you're an American. What does the American dream mean to you?
I think it's like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's a big question right there. I guess in simple terms, it's like to feel free to do what you want to do, you know, within reason, of course, you know, to start a business or, you know, follow your interests, you know, and not get messed with too much by the government, I guess.
Do you think the American dream has worked for you?
Probably. But I've been lucky, but probably, yeah.
What do you think the biggest threat to America or democracy is?
I think honestly, it's probably how easily people are manipulated by the media, which is controlled by a small group of people.
What do you think the biggest way to deal with that, or the best way to deal with that threat is?
I mean, honestly, greater access to independent media sources. Honestly, you know, I mean, you know, well, again, I mean, it's like social media was really helping with that, but then of course, you know, everything got bought up by all of these same companies, you know. But any way that people can like connect with each other in an organic way without like big business kind of getting in the way of that and deciding like what people can see and what you know, then I think that's the way to go.
So like more independently run media outlets?
Right, exactly, yeah.
Right. How would you describe yourself politically?
Politically, I'm kind of all over the place. I mean, I guess I would consider myself a moderate, even though like I'm extreme on some things. Like I'm extreme pro-gun, you know, but then on like other issues, like I support like legalizing drugs, so I could never call myself a conservative, so probably somewhere in the middle.
Sort of like libertarian a little bit?
Kind of, but I also don't hate government, the idea of government on the level that they do either, so.
Interesting. So yeah, so I guess you have just certain issues that you
I have my own personal issues with the government where I don't like the government because of the way they do things, but I feel like libertarians have this idea that you don't need government, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I think the government does things that are bad, but I think that you do need government when you're talking about just like the concept of government. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Literally whatever.
Yeah. It's like I'm not against the concept of government, but I'm against what this government does, if that makes sense.
Right. I feel like it'd probably fall in line with a lot of people, a lot of Americans. What do you think that the United States will look like in 20 years?
Man, that's tough to say. I think definitely our lives are going to be even more and more digital. You know, I don't see anything slowing that down, especially in the next 20 years. You know, as far as more working from home, you know, more, I don't know. It's tough. That's a tough one.
Mm-hmm. So you think just people are going to work from home more?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? 20 years, it could all fall apart, or it could be better. It's just, I don't know. 20 years is a long way off. But I do think that the internet is going to continue to integrate more in our lives, and AI technology is going to get better and better, and greater access to information. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a fair answer.
I'm not a scientist.
What do you love the most about the United States?
As cliche as it sounds, probably the freedom here. I feel like America does have a lot of freedom, especially the kinds of things that I'm interested in. Like, there's no other place in the world I can go and own the guns that I own. So just based on that alone,
Right. What do you hate the most about America?
Probably how like controlling. I feel like people. I hate how people want to like control other people's lives so much. I wish there was more of like a live and let live kind of attitude that people have. Like people are too like bossy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like just as long as we're not hurting someone, just leave us alone, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like that, the kind of like micromanaging that people kind of do. I don't know, like. I feel like a lot of that is the media kind of influences people, and people are trying to like enforce too much, like what they think is the best way to live on other people. I guess it's a better way to say it.
Obviously, I have a question. What do you feel most politically passionate about? I have an idea, but I mean, if you want to answer that.
I mean, it's kind of two things. Like, honestly, guns, of course, and then like legalizing drugs. I really strongly believe that like drugs being illegal causes so many problems, with violence and corruption in the government. Like, it's like a bigger thing than I think even people realize. But guns would probably be number one, though. Do
you want to fully legalize drugs, like where it's, or just decriminalize?
Yeah, my personal belief is like with like weed it should be like treated like alcohol. Mm-hmm. Psychedelics, I think, probably in a similar way, depending on what they are. But now, like harder drugs like coke, meth, heroin, things like that. I don't want to see them sold at gas stations, but making them illegal creates a market for them that causes all of these terrible problems. So I think you got to at least decriminalize them to where there's like no money in selling them, basically. Right.
It's sort of similar to guns, I guess.
Right.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, do you think that there should be any type of gun control whatsoever?
I don't think I'm okay with whatever we do, wherever we decide someone is an adult, whatever age we decide that is. That I don't think someone that's not considered an adult should be able to walk into a store and buy a gun on their own, because it's like there's a thing in society where we've decided that children are still under the guidance of parents, you know what I mean? So whatever age we decide that is, then you should be able to buy any small arms, I think. Which small arms are, rifles, handguns, shotguns, and even machine guns and things like that.
So do you think that because somebody can't, I'm not entirely sure, but if somebody's 18, they can't buy a handgun, correct? They can
Right.
buy long rifles?
Right.
So do you think that that's a sort of an appropriate age?
Well, in some places at 18 you can buy a rifle, but you can't buy a pistol until you're 21. So like that's something I don't agree with. It's like either you're an adult or you're not.
Oh, I see.
If they want to change the legal age of being an adult to 21 across the board, then I don't necessarily agree with that. But okay, that at least like has a logic that makes sense to me. But my thing is like when you're an adult, then you should have access to everything that adults have access to.
Oh, okay. Do you think, obviously as a big gun guy, this is a common talking point. Do you think that you'll ever need to use your guns against some sort of government agency in the future?
I don't think so. I think it's a sort of like a, there's like a standoff there. I think us having them keeps us from having to use them. Right. And if we don't have them, then we don't get to use them, but we lose the thing that having them kept us from losing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, this is such a basic question, but what do you love the most about the Second Amendment or guns in general?
I mean, just day to day, I just enjoy like the history of guns because it's like if you think about it, human history is defined by war. You know, as ugly as war is, like it is our history. Like everything that happens in with humans and the way we take land or grow or as whatever, it's like it's all based on wars. And guns in the last 250 years are a huge part of that. So it's learning about guns, you learn about human history and all that is very interesting to me. And they're just incredibly fun to shoot. Like there's the self-defense side, of course, which is, the important reason for guns. But that's not something I really think about that much day to day. I just like them,
Do you have a favorite gun?
Yeah, probably the M60, which I have.
M60?
Yeah.
That's like the full, that's like a,
Yeah.
like on top of like a Humvee, right?
Right, yeah.
Damn. You have to have special license. Yeah, you probably have.
You do, yeah. Those are.
Like out the ass for like.
Well, yeah. So to buy machine guns in America, it's a long. I don't know how much you want with this, but it's like I'll give you a quick version of how you buy a machine gun. So they're only legal in certain states, and so in 1934 they passed what's called the National Firearms Act, which banned machine guns, rifles and shotguns with barrels of a certain length, and suppressors. And all of those things fall under the National Firearms Act, and they have to be registered. And you have to pay $200 for a tax stamp to buy those things, which at the time was like a cost prohibitive thing because $200 in 1934 was a lot of money, So they were like trying to keep the scallywags from being able to buy the dangerous guns or whatever, even though all the bank robbers just stole their guns from the police,
Right.
So then fast forward to 1986, something called the Hughes Amendment was signed by Reagan. And that made it so that no new machine guns could be manufactured and sold to civilians. So effectively what you have now is you have a registry that has been closed since 1986. So the only machine guns that a civilian in America is allowed to buy are the ones that were registered before 1986. So it's like buying a piece of real estate, basically. They're very expensive, but they go up in value. Like I got mine like 2 or 3 years ago, and it's already worth like 25% more than what I paid for it.
Interesting. So there's no fully automatic machine guns made after 1986 that you can buy
as a civilian, right?
As a citizen,
right? There's other avenues, like if you're a dealer or you're a manufacturer, there's other ways you can like get them, but it still all has to be like registered and very heavily documented because the way it's set up now, the ATF, which is over firearms, they want to know who has them, where they are, what they are. They want to have all that information. So they all have to be on the books, which is not something I agree with, but that's how it's set up.
So you and your father are definitely on the books.
Oh yeah.
Well, I meant like obviously on the books, like because they know that you're registered, but also
right. Yeah, he's got one, and I've got three.
3 M60s?
No, machine guns.
Oh, machine guns.
Yeah.
Okay. Just in general.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you said that silencers also fall under that same statute?
Right. But they are not, the registry on those is not closed.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can just
they still make them, and right, but you still have to do the $200 stamp and all that, and they're registered.
Do you have to? Is there any like class that you have to take, or you just register for it?
No, it's just a register. It's a different background check, which they say is more extensive. I don't know, but
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw your that one of your most recent videos. You have that. It's the mini Uzi.
Yeah.
The fucking silence.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's badass. Have you ever thought that you might or used your firearm in a self-defense situation?
So I used to be an armed security guard, and I never had to use it, but like there were times where I came close, and I've definitely had to like pull it on people before, which is like not a good feeling. It doesn't make you feel like a tough guy. It's kind of just like it's kind of scary because it's like once you introduce, it's sort of like in The Empire Strikes Back. When he goes into that thing and he asks Yoda like what's in there, and he's like only what you bring with you. It's kind of like that. It's like once you introduce a gun, it feels like anything can happen.
Right, like there's no turning back.
You kind of, yeah, exactly. Which, you don't introduce a gun unless you already feel like there's a serious threat there, or there's already another gun. But it's just, it's spooky. But yeah, no. Other than that, no, no.
Do you, what was that? Oh, what do you think people misrepresent, like in the media or just public discussion about gun owners or guns in general?
I think definitely just that like gun owners are all like hicks, they're all like rednecks and stuff, and most like serious gun people are not. I mean, it's a really involved hobby, and the guns are expensive too. You know what I mean? So a lot of smart people, a lot of dorks, a lot of nerds. I know a lot of just nerdy people that are really into guns. They come from all walks of life. It tends to be, unfortunately, more of a like Republican-dominated thing, but it's growing on the left for sure, because I think people are starting to kind of understand it. Like, they can't exactly count on the police to protect me, so I got to protect myself.
Right. What do you think? What do you think the most important thing that people should know about guns is?
Safety, 100%. Because the thing about guns is like, it's so easy to be safe with guns. It's not like other things that are unpredictable. Guns are so predictable. It has to be so ingrained in your mind. It's very frustrating if I like go shooting with someone that isn't. They act like they're into guns, and then that's the thing. It's just like anything, like just like with stand up or whatever. It's like someone can talk all they want, but like you can immediately tell their experience level, like right away. Like with comedy, just how they grab the mic stand, I can hand someone a gun, and I can immediately tell if they have any experience or not. And it makes you look like a fool around other gun people if you don't know the basics of safety, and it's dangerous to yourself and others. So safety, 100% is the number one.
Yeah, it's like if somebody's like at a gun range and they flag somebody,
right?
And it's like the same thing as like a comedian just being nervous on stage.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Yeah. Some other people could die with guns instead of just metaphorically on stage.
No, that's true. Let me see. What do you think? This doesn't have to be political or whatever. It might be guns, but what do you think? What is the most important thing in your life? It could be metaphysical. It could be a belief. It could be an object. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably also cliche, but it's like, I guess leaving something behind that people for hopefully a while will be like, oh, that guy did that. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I mean,
like making an impact?
Yeah, like leaving your mark kind of thing. It's like, with the YouTube stuff, I feel like I've already left a mark with that, and it's like with stand up, it's the same thing. It's like, if I can have one like true, like good, tight hour special that I put out, even if I never am like a successful comic, it's like if I've done that and it's like something I'm proud of, then I'll feel like I've really accomplished something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Something that stands the test of time, at least to some degree.
Awesome. Well, do you have any final thoughts? Any parting words?
I guess not. But yeah, thanks for having me. It's fun.
Yeah, of course.